So after we had that incredible day back in the Everglades, we had the opportunity. That was Richard Black's canoe. Although we went up and did it our way and we found some fish and had fun, I was really excited to have him take us up there.
Coming. There you go.
Oh, an awesome bite! Oh, it's a whopper! Oh, look at him jumping!
Being back there in a canoe with Richard Black, he tells you to skip it under the bushes. You actually skip it under the bushes, and the fish actually bites it.
There he is. He ate. Oh, that was just perfect.
That was.
Just perfect. Oh, yeah! Come on. Oh, he ate it. Nice, baby. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I thought you said you had to...
I got him. Relax.
Oh, dude, he just ripped my boat off. Oh, awesome. Look at that big boy. Woo!
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, with Captain Tom Rowland and Captain Rich Tudor.
Well, we bumbled around yesterday. Hopefully, you'll show us how to get it done. There's a lot of things that are going on different today. We've already figured out how to get the canoe in here. That took about an hour to get that thing tied in properly yesterday. Then we did all kinds of running around. We didn't get up there until afternoon, so
we were fishing at 1.
This is way better. We've got a major head start, and we have somebody that knows what they're doing. So that's a good
What's
thing.
intimidating is a couple things have radically changed. That since they put that dam in there, there's no flow.
There's no flow anymore.
It's totally different from what I used to do.
It's more like a lake, and it's kind of lake-driven features where it's time of year and wind-driven currents. And since the dams have been there, the fish have gotten bigger. I mean, like it used to be when there was a heavy current, you caught a lot of the schoolie-sized snook and reds. They're like 22, 23, 24 inches. And now that water level doesn't change as much, I think the bigger fish are in there, and those are the fish too that lasted past the freeze in 2010. Right. So they're a hardy snook. Yeah.
So after we had that incredible day back in the Everglades, with you and I messing around, bumbling around, exploring on our own, we had the opportunity. That was Richard Black's canoe. I wanted him to take us up there. He's up there all the time. Yeah. And although we went up and did it our way and we found some fish and had fun, I was really excited to have him take us up there. Richard is a really cool guy. I know him through a bunch of the different guys, Jim Bocar and others, that used to fish with me and you, are fishing with him now. He's the kind of that next generation of tournament guy, and just a great young guy. He went to Coral Shores High School here, and during high school he was fishing these different youth tournaments and winning them, and he got his captain's license when he was 16 or something, and whenever you're able to get it. But he went to college and then finished that, and then came back and started guiding, and he's been very successful at it, and just a great guy, and finally got an opportunity to go fishing with him.
So what do you do, Richard? Yesterday we came in, we tried fishing out through here, we caught a few snook and some barracudas and stuff. You just head straight back to the meet, or what?
Yeah, I pretty much like to get going in there, and we can fish a little bit on the way in, but I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. And
right.
Hopefully we'll get in there and have some good sight fishing.
Should I?
God, we got a beautiful sky for it.
When we started going in there, the water was so clear in that one zone. You could see the fish laying under the mangroves. Richard spotted them right away. There's one laying right under there. Right in this one little creek, you could see it. We skipped it right up in there, and we saw a snook come out. I missed it. Threw in there. Another snook came out. Another snook. Finally threw in there. Boom, I hooked this big one. It was awesome.
You're coming.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, an awesome bite. Oh, it's a whopper. Oh, look at him jumping.
Oh,
he's going right in the boat.
Oh. Nice job.
I had the single hook jig there. I had about a 1/4 ounce there, letting it fall, and you just watch it. It was so cool because you could see the snook coming out of that hole. Like it was dark in the shadows and you couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden they'd come out and you see that one in the light, and you just flipped in there, and I saw my jig, and then boom, it just disappeared. And I was like, oh boy.
Big fish.
That's bigger than anything we saw all day yesterday.
I saw him back in there.
There's
black as
There's
night.
more than one. Wow, I was just asking you, do you ever catch big ones in here? Nah, not really.
I like when you prove it wrong. Man, we haven't even gotten out of sight of the dam. Here's another one.
Everything was perfect, man. The light was just, it's the morning light, and it was just, the thing just looked so beautiful, and we could see it, and then we're up there just kind of like, well, we had no idea what we were doing yesterday. We just kind of bumbled into these fish, and now we got Richard with us, and I guess we were doing it right, because he's like, yeah. Well, I mean, any good fisherman knows, you know, if there's fish there, you fish for them.
Yeah, man. Good job, buddy.
Let me get a picture of you guys with that. Hold
Right
them up, let
on.
me get a picture of you.
That's a nice stuff.
That is
That's a good way to start the
That's a
morning.
fantastic
Turn him a
way,
little
man.
bit, Rich. Rich and Rich. There we go, awesome. Great.
Sweet.
That is a heck of a way to start the day.
There he is. He ate it. Oh, that was just perfect.
That was.
Just perfect.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you in part by Hawks Cay, the only key you'll need. By Yellowfin, only in a Yellowfin. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Vicious, get vicious. And by Power Pole. And Buff.
You got him.
Got him right in the button.
I'll grab them for you.
After we had done a little messing around right there, I was kind of like, man, come on, man. I want to go up there where Richard knows. I want to keep moving. Let's keep moving. So it was the wrong thing to do because you leave fish to find fish. You never do that.
You know, you specifically wanted to fly fish.
Yeah.
And Richard does a lot of fly fishing up in there. And you know, so there was a lot of confidence going up into these areas. So you know, started to explore these different bays. We found out that some of the places where we had busted through trees, he had already knew the way around.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was just, you know, he really knew where he was going. And I was amazed at how efficient that little Gheenoe
Yeah.
was at moving. He push-pull that thing. I mean, one stroke, 20 feet. One stroke, I mean, we were covering some ground quickly and efficiently. In that one little creek that we went into, it was like a little slough, and we had to push through there. You know, next thing I know, he sees one up there, and you know, you got the fly rod already. You're making some nice shots in there. It was really cool.
There.
Okay, yeah, I see
See
him.
him?
Yeah.
You push forward.
Is that a fish?
Yeah. You slide kind of at us and a little bit left.
I got him.
I'll stop it.
Come across his tail. Can you see him, Richard?
I don't now.
Oh, here he is. Thank. He slid left and then I lost him. That was really cool.
The fish were definitely acting different than they were the day before. First of all, we were up there earlier, so we felt like we could see them better, but they weren't showing up that well. They really weren't. We were all three having a very difficult time. Three experienced anglers or three experienced guides that see fish for a living.
But it was good. I mean, you know, you got to, you know, fly fishing is difficult. That's the reality of it. But you love to do it.
Yep.
You got an opportunity to get some really good shots at a few fish, but it's hard. And that's, you know, that's the more challenging method of catching those fish in those
Oh
situations.
yeah, you know, when you pick up the fly rod, you're probably not going to catch as many, and everybody has to be on board with that. That's what Richard likes to do. That's what I like to do. You're stuck in the middle of the boat, kind of like,
Well,
can we please throw a jig?
Now strip it 3 times and set the hook on that big snook.
I'd like to. I thought that might be one.
I mean, hey, I was enjoying myself when we were out fly fishing because it was relaxing for me. I mean, literally, I was sitting there watching. I mean, no, seriously, it was really enjoyable. I'd caught fish.
Yeah,
the
I
day
turned
before.
around there a couple times. You looked like you were really enjoying yourself. I wasn't sure if you were
But
awake or what.
It was beautiful, man. I wasn't pulling. Richard was pulling. I was relaxed. I mean, I was watching you fish, you know, and it was just a beautiful scenario. I mean, the bird life was everywhere. I mean, there were some fish around. It was.
And then I hear this.
Cool. It was cool. It was nice to relax because normally I'm always trying to do something. It was cool just to chill. There goes one. Look at that. Look at him zipping across there. Wow.
And another one right there.
Tom, here's one right there. See the wake? 11. See where those bubbles
Let's
are?
see the fish, though.
Just left at 12 o'clock.
A lot of fish in here, Richard. A little spooky. I am going to be perfectly happy to catch one of these. I don't need to catch 1,000. One that I can see clearly, make a good cast. And could have been that last one. That would have been perfect.
Richard starts pushing for the main canal, not because we're running out of time, but because it's obvious that
was where the clear
hey,
water was.
This is difficult. He has a lot of experience up there. It's not his first time to see that it's difficult up there, and we already found fish. So let's head back.
Well, I guess I'll throw the spinner on a little bit.
Yeah, until we get out in the next thing.
How about one with a jig head? Okay, so here in the Florida Keys, oftentimes we come to a bridge like this where we're going to fish right behind us in one of these different spans. In the past, what we've had to do is drop a heavy anchor, and then if we hook a tarpon, we have to let that anchor go or put it on a ball or have some kind of fancy release system. But now with the XI5 trolling motor, with this anchor mode, we can just come up here and have the confidence to sit in heavy current with the trolling motor on anchor mode. And this year we're able to start using the controls right here on the GPS. So right now I have it anchored. All I did, I'll do it again for you right now. We just go to anchor here. There's a button right there, anchor here. Now that's gonna actually hold us, and you can see the trolling motor starting to work, and it's gonna hold us. So in heavy current right here, and I could be kind of afraid I might get swept up against the bridge, but I've been using this thing long enough now that I'm very confident that this is gonna hold us. If I find that I'm not happy with this spot right here, maybe the next span over is where the fish are biting, every time I touch one of these arrows, it's gonna move 5 feet in that direction. So if I decide I wanna go ahead 5 feet, that's 5 feet, and that's 10 feet. Okay, if I wanna go over to the left 10 feet, I'm gonna touch this twice. Okay, and the trolling motor is gonna readjust per the command that I just gave it, and we're gonna go and sit right there and anchor right there. So I can move around in 5 feet increments anywhere I want to go. Now this is great for wrecks. It's great for fishing the bridges like we are, or you know, if we're out fishing someplace, we decide that we're going to take a break from one flat. I can sit in a channel, hit anchor, we can eat a sandwich, do tackle work, whatever I need to do before we head off to the next spot. So the anchor mode with XI5 and the Lowrance Gen 3, it's fantastic. We're going to use it every single day.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you in part by Yeti Coolers, built for the wild. By Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate. Quantum Rods and Reels, fishing at a quantum level. By Loadmaster. And Costa.
Oh, there he is. He hit it. Oh, nice bite, nice bite. That was so cool, man. Right in that
I'll
creek.
tell you what.
Nice.
You make cast after cast after cast, you're like, gotta be a fish there. You know, and that one, I skipped it back up in that creek, and
You
finally.
saw him come out from underneath the undercut. And
Yeah,
just, boom.
but finally that was like the
Crush
one
it.
that deserved it.
Look how dark he is.
He's a
too.
black snook. So do you ever catch the other kind of snook, the fat snook?
I've caught a couple in all the years of fishing back here and around Flamingo.
Oh,
but
yeah.
What I enjoyed more than anything was just having Richard take us up there, knowing exactly where he wanted to go. He had a milk route. He was going to go and do all of these things, and if it wasn't happening over here, then you can just see it in his head. He kind of went through the deal and is like, man, where it's happening is where we started.
Yeah.
And we need to go back there.
Nice. That was so cool.
Sweet. Cast after cast after cast, and then finally you do it just right.
And even his belly's really dark.
I know. So, why do you think he's darker? Just hanging out over darker bottom all
Hanging
day?
out over darker bottom. Fish that's been in here for a long time.
All right, man. Well, I'll tell you what. As soon as we got that back to that clear water, that was the key.
It's the key today.
There he goes.
Sweet.
Whitewater Bay, Oyster Bay, Hells Bay area is what we call the backcountry in Flamingo. Some of the challenges back there in law enforcement we have is people go back there and they come up with their own rules and regulations, so we have to go back and make sure we're checking boaters and canoers and fishermen and making sure they're following the rules that the park and the state has in effect in those areas. Once we locate a person, we do the same as we do anywhere else on the bay. We do a quick resource safety check. We check for life vests, fire extinguisher flares, their catch for the day, and to make sure they know where they're going, if they have a good plan, and if we need to change those plans for them so they'll have a good, safe trip. The main danger in being in the backcountry is Mother Nature, not being prepared for Mother Nature. The weather or the tide causes their canoe trip to come up longer than what they plan. So that gallon of water that they plan for each day becomes a gallon and a half or 2 gallons. Another danger that we find out is people not carrying enough gas for the power boat. They have a small boat and they take more fishing gear and goodies for the day than they do making sure they have an extra 5 gallons of gas for a boat that don't take but 15 gallons or 10 gallons. And they're going all the way up into Cane Patch and Herney River, and they didn't take enough to get back. And when they catch that great fish and follow that tarpon up and down that creek, they look back and where am I? That's when we start spending the taxpayers' money looking for them pretty much. We can, patrol the main routes in an 8-hour shift. And we can make sure that we cover the markers, the chickies, the campsites, and making sure we're going to those areas in an 8-hour shift. If anything outside of that, it could take longer than 8 hours. But if someone get in trouble and they need, assistance, one of the main things that they can do to help themselves is make sure they get to a chickie or a marker so that if we're passing by on a patrol, we'll see them at those locations. I would say if the average person that goes in the backcountry looks at the backcountry trip planner before they go out, they'll have a good sense of what's going on and be able to come up with a good plan. And they can find that backcountry trip planner on the park website, or they can pick it up at one of our visitor centers.
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you in part by True Flies, life off the chart. By Mercury Marine, #1 on the water. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. And by Motor Guide. And Fraybill.
You want to see more saltwater experience? Go to saltwaterexperience.com for exclusive web content. We've got how-to videos, behind-the-scenes footage, and things you've never seen on TV. Go to saltwaterexperience.com now.
Yeah. Now he was way down deep. I had to really let it fall, yeah. Look how white he is.
Looks like he just came in here.
Yeah.
We get back almost to exactly where we were in the morning. We are getting close to the dam, and Richard sees the one. There he is. He's sitting there, and it was the perfect situation because everything was coming together. I had the right bait. I had changed from a heavier jig head, and when I did that, I could make that thing go 50 feet across the top of the water, all the way back in there. And then when you get it finally back as far as you want, you can put your finger on the line, and it'll just stop and be way back in there.
What was interesting there is Richard found a pattern. if we found one of those little inlet canals,
Yep.
those little tiny creeks that didn't look like much, but it was, you know, it had gone out of that deeper water, and that little flat going into that little mini creek back there, it was shallow. It must have been warming,
Yep.
and those snook were up in there, and there was a lot of them, and they were way back. Like you could
Way
you could not have gone back in there, you know. And then if we cast right on the edge, you weren't getting a bite. But
Yep.
you got up there and you started skipping that thing right down those canals. And when you made that little skip down that little creek and you got back in there, it was awesome. Bam! There he is. He ate. Oh, that was just perfect.
That was.
Just perfect.
I skipped it under there, and it skips, stops, fish on. I see the big gill flash, and the thing is,
awesome.
you know, then it starts tail walking out of that creek.
You skipped it so far back in there, man.
Dude, I thought I hit a root. I swear.
Oh, that was great.
Wow. He's black too. Because he's back in those shadows. That's what it is.
I mean, that to me was like the quintessential Everglades experience. Like being back there in a canoe with Richard Black. He tells you to skip it under the bushes. You actually skip it under the bushes, and the fish actually bites it, comes out, tail walking, beautiful snook. I mean, that was just perfect. That was it. That's all I needed, just that one deal. And, you know, of course, you still have all of the other things that come into the experience, the crocodiles, the wildlife, you know, being in a canoe, no internet access, your phone's not buzzing, quiet, birds, wildlife, snook. It was just an amazing day, and so cool to be back there with Richard, you know, passionate, young guy, just doing so well. Just, I don't know how it could get much better than that, honestly.
Great experience. It's fun, man. Huh?
That was beautiful.